Did Boruto just accidentally break the timeline again? I want you to picture this. You spend 3 years dodging all these Anbu Black Ops hunting you down. You got Momoshiki inside your brain. You're training underneath Sasuke, and then you're training underneath a unhinged clone of Jiraiya. You're mastering cosmic level techniques that literally allow you to teleport all over the place, draw on the Earth's chakra. Only now that you're in the battle with the massive threat that you've been preparing for, you realize you might have broken yet another timeline because you decided to go against the very thing that your mentor said because you're following your moral compass. Yes, that's Boruto Uzumaki for you, for better or for worse. Because in the newest Boruto Two Blue Vortex official spoiler, Mamushi has arrived in Konoha several days earlier than expected. Shikamaru is having a full Hokage level panic attack, and Boruto is sprinting towards the threat like he already knew it was coming. He might have known it was already coming, but one thing that should be more terrifying than Mamushi is the possibility that Boruto's own choices might have been what pulled this monster into Konoha in the timeline sooner than expected. That might be why Kashin Koji said fate has already changed, and it's basically like, hey, we gotta roll with it. So join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, breaks down why Mamushi might have showed up a little earlier than expected, how Boruto might have accidentally shifted the timeline yet again, why Kashin Koji's 10 Direction Shinjutsu is now more unstable than ever before, and what Boruto might have done when he secretly bargained with Momoshiki, and how Boruto is walking into a Buddhist-style karmic lesson about messing with time, even when you have good intentions. So let's dive into why Boruto's newest attempt at playing craps with fate itself might have allowed him to save his friends while also setting him up for devastating new consequences that he did not see coming. Also, quick reminder, the chapter drops on the 19th this month, so spoilers will drop any day now. They might drop tomorrow. So keep notifications turned on, and the chapter review will either drop 2 days after the spoilers or 2 days after the official release, depending on which comes first. Also, don't forget to check out and subscribe to my other 2 anime channels, Anime Explained, where I discuss other anime and manga besides Naruto, and my Everything One Piece Explained channel, where I only discuss One Piece and I blind react to every chapter by chapter, from chapter 1 to the most recent chapter. Both will be linked down in the description box. So first and foremost, we got to start with that sweet Shikamaru panic. I need that injected into my veins because the timeline, it has just changed. So the spoilers, they tell us something huge. I mean massive. I mean Choji when he goes into butterfly mode type of big. Mamushi is arriving several days early. That's not a minor detail. That's not pacing. That's not coincidence. That is a temporal shift that has happened. Shikamaru is immediately freaking out, not because he fears Mamushi, though he should. Mamushi's a whole predator, but because he fears what this deviation means. He's been planning for Konoha to be protected. Kashin Koji's 10 Direction Shinjutsu is essentially predictive causality. It's a karmic probability engine. It gives Kashin Koji a branching map of future possible outcomes. It's a collective of multiple timelines that converge all around fixed points, and so that allows them to do their ultimate shogi game planning. Mamushi's original arrival, that was in one of those fixed points. It was supposed to be closer to a week, but the moment that Mamushi has appeared early, the map itself has broken. Kashin Koji and Shikamaru's plans, they might be collapsing. And the moment that a future deviates, it's not an incursion like what you see in Marvel. Instead, you have a Hokage like Shikamaru recognizing immediately what this means. That someone or something has caused the timeline to shift, and he has to start accounting for what might go wrong. He and Kashin Koji, they're now putting those big genius brains together. Boruto's behavior, in my opinion, might give us the biggest clue as to why. So in order to understand this, we have to kind of look back. So Boruto, I think it's safe to say he's not necessarily following Kashin Koji's plan to a T anymore. Boruto was supposed to prepare. Boruto was supposed to get his sword fixed. And he was also supposed to wait for Mamushi to arrive on schedule. but instead he's racing off immediately as if he anticipated this early arrival. He might have even sensed Mamushi. Who knows? This is out of context, but I think there's also a conversation we had that he might have indirectly caused this. And in order to understand why I say this, we have to look back to the Sand Village event. As I've been saying ever since that Sand Village arc and we got the flashback in chapter 16, there was always going to be beef with Boruto and Kashin Koji. The story's been setting that up. But in the Sand Village in the Land of Wind, we had Yodo dying. Araya barely survived. Konoha was almost killed until Boruto intervened. This left Boruto with one clear conviction. If he sticks to Kashin Koji's very cold, pragmatic logic, then people he cares about, they will die. Kashin Koji, he don't care about casualties. Kashin Koji don't care about no village. Kashin Koji only cares about the end point. That Mamushi dies and that is one more stepping stone towards getting his hands on Jura and having Jura be killed. He is as focused on that as the booty warrior in Boondocks was focused on getting some of Tom's booty. If you get that reference, top 1% subscriber. That's basically it. Boruto, shaped by Naruto's worldview, from having been Naruto's child, raised by Naruto and Hinata, two of the two kindest souls in the series, and having suffered through the trauma of omnipotence, having lost so much and trying to reclaim everything, and simultaneously protect Kawaki from any blame that comes from it, Boruto can't accept that that's something that happens. He's not gonna allow people to die. That's part of his moral compass, his upbringing. He refuses to let good people die just because a future map says that it's an acceptable loss. In Boruto's eyes, there is no death that is acceptable. That puts him on a direct collision course with Kashin Koji. And Boruto responds not with logic or anything like that, not through planning. Instead, he's responded emotionally. He's responded dangerously. It's part of why I do understand where Kashin Koji came from when he said that Boruto was being a bit of a brat, but I also think that Boruto's right that Kashin Koji is being a little too cold and taking the human element out of it. That is why these two are destined to continue clashing. And that brings me to the Momoshiki moment, because I think that that secret deal with Momoshiki might have been that hidden trigger point. I've always been suspicious about that deal. So I think we can basically come to an agreement that Kashin Koji instructed Boruto to cooperate with Momoshiki, but I think that there was a specific terms of agreement that Boruto and Momoshiki is supposed to come to. Basically a surface level truce. Instead, something else happened. Boruto did say that he would give Momoshiki complete control of his body if he killed Jura. Now, we know that Boruto likely is planning for Kawaki to kill him once that happens, but notice how Boruto refused to tell Koji what he and Momoshiki talked about directly. They just got into another pissing contest. That's not a throwaway line. That's not a misdirection. That's the story screaming that Boruto made a choice, potentially that choice to offer Momoshiki his body, something that completely alters destiny itself. Momoshiki is a being whose entire existence revolves around power, the pursuit of power, the transference of power, karma, fate, karmic loops, reincarnation, consumption, and predetermined cycles. That's a lot to digest, but that's why that Momoshiki video essay that I'm working on is going to be so great, because very, very well written character when you understand all the different things that's being pulled for the character, especially the folklore, but I digress. So if Boruto did something outside of Koji's expectations, such as offering Momoshiki something reckless, binding, karmically significant, like, hey, you can take my body for keeps, then Momoshiki might have responded, or rather the timeline might have responded in a way that is shifting things all over again. Think of it like this. Kashin Koji, with these 10 directions visions, he's basically building a glass house. It's very carefully constructed. Boruto basically took a stone and threw it at the foundation of that glass house. Now everything's coming crumbling, and Boruto's like, don't worry, bitch, we can just rebuild it. Now, I want to raise something else. I think that there might be something else going on here with Boruto and Momoshiki. I think that something else might have been served up as a part of their agreement. We don't necessarily know what, but I think it's more than Momoshiki wanting possession of Boruto. I think that there might have been more here, because Momoshiki does have that goal that he wants to attain godhood. There might have been something else agreed to when it comes to that. Not saying Boruto aids Momoshiki in that, but there might be certain parameters that are on there. Another thing that we have to look at is whether or not Boruto asked Momoshiki for insurance. Make sure nobody else I care for dies. Momoshiki granting this might absolutely speed up a undesirable outcome from taking place, because we don't know, because there are times where deaths are supposed to happen. Imagine if Jiraiya does not die because someone intervened, and Jiraiya did not have all the intel from the six paths of pain. The light bulb went off once he got a closer look at them right before he died. A lot changes. There are times where, again, death is necessary. Any one change could be enough to start shifting and swaying the 10 directions outcomes that Kashin Koji saw. Now, this also brings me to why Boruto's distrust with Kashin Koji might be another thing that ends up breaking the timeline later on down the line. So here's why this matters. If we're being honest here, Boruto's distrust of Kashin Koji is not irrational. It is very earned. Kashin Koji more than once has withheld crucial information because he thought that it wasn't necessary for Boruto to know. Kashin Koji was willing to let people die in the Sand Village. He was willing to treat people like pawns. He very much operates the way that Shikamaru did when Shikamaru was training with Asuma, and Asuma was looking at how easily Shikamaru can do things like climbing silver, and he's like, man, that's cold-blooded. And he's trying to teach Shikamaru through the shogi game that these shogi pieces are basically the shinobi under your control. And Shikamaru's like, yep, okay, well, sacrifices gotta be made. Cold hard logic. Koji does not value lives like that. He only values outcome. And as long as your life leads to the best possible outcome, hey, I will protect you. But if it doesn't, well, hey fam, you can just get ridden off. Koji already has been undermined once by Boruto with that Kawaki's limiters plan. That happened sooner than it was supposed to, and we saw that the timeline shifted. I think that to a degree, Boruto does know that he shifted the timeline because of this. He ended up saving a friend in Konoha. He ended up powering up Kawaki. He's trying to get to taking out Jura as fast as possible, but he's also changed destiny. And I would argue because of what he's done with Kawaki, he has sped up the fact that Kawaki is getting deeper and deeper into having inherited Ishiki's will. But it was just as Kashin Koji was trying to tell Boruto there are necessary sacrifices, this was a necessary sacrifice for Boruto because he had to protect people like Konoha and Sarada. And that's the heart of this tragedy. Boruto, in some ways, is becoming like Koji in the moments where he's trying not to be like Koji. So allow me to explain what I mean by this. Both of them, to a degree, have no problem with bending time. Boruto does it to prevent casualties that are caused by possible futures that have not taken place or people might die. Kashin Koji is trying to bend time to ultimately lead the world down to a place where Jura is defeated. In so many ways, these two characters, even though they're working together, they're on a loop. They're on a comic loop. And because they represent two opposing forces that clash, it's getting more and more entertaining with every chapter, which brings me to the next point, which is the big Buddhist lesson in this, which is that time cannot be controlled without consequence. So again, as longtime viewers of the channel, you know Boruto, Two Blue Vortex, Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the 72 plus 1 volumes, so 73 volumes of Naruto. These are all deeply Buddhist coded stories. Karma, samsara, rebirth, cause and effect across timelines, illusion of control, suffering caused by attachment. You can go through all of those phases and phrases that I just mentioned here, and you can pick out various plot lines from all three parts of Naruto. For instance, in Buddhism, trying to fix fate always produces an unexpected suffering. You don't break samsara by gripping it harder. Samsara is that cycle of suffering. Boruto's actions, they follow a very classic pattern. He experiences the fear of loss. He did not like that Yodo died, even though he barely knew her. He did not like the fact that Konoha might have died if he didn't step in. And he also does not like Sarada's past suffering. He wants to protect Sarada. Fear leads to attachment. Attachment leads to desperate action. That desperate action might have been him with that bargain with Momoshiki. Desperate actions result in a disruption of natural flow. That means 10 directions, timeline shifts. Disruption of natural flow produces new suffering. Now, Mamushi has arrived earlier. Konoha is caught unprepared. Shikamaru appears to be panicking, and Boruto might seemingly be thrust into a premature battle. And usually in stories like this, somebody has to pay the price when it comes to the karma price. Even if he wins, Buddhism teach every attempt to escape suffering through control creates new causes for suffering. Something is going to happen at the end of this arc that they did not factor in. Boruto, his character is about trying to escape destiny by becoming basically destiny's author. He's like, hey, Momoshiki, I don't give a fuck what you saw. I'm going to do my own thing. Yet at the same time, there are times where Boruto acts like he's somebody that is an author that does not understand the weight of the pen. My writing heads out there, you know what that means. If you're not a writer, basically saying understanding the weight of the pen, your words carry meaning. What you put on paper or what you put from your brain onto a script when you're typing on a computer or whatever you write on, it's the most intimate experience you can share with somebody because you're taking your direct thoughts and you're putting it in a place where people can consume them. And depending on how you phrase things, you can sway people's mind. And that now brings me to why Mamushi's early arrival, it definitely matters. So narratively, this shift, it does three things. It shows that Kashin Koji, he's losing control of Boruto. His 10 directions map, I would say, is not as trustworthy as he probably would have liked because he can't predict things the way that he used to because Boruto, no matter what little bit of information he gets, he's smart enough to put the rest of the pieces together and he will change things as he wants to. The other thing it does is that it eventually will expose Boruto's secret. Koji at some point is going to piece together that Boruto did something with Momoshiki that altered the timeline. The same way that he knew right away, oh shoot, Kawaki got his limiters removed sooner than before. That's going to create more tension. Now, on the battlefield perspective, Mamushi was supposed to be dealt with under controlled circumstances, conditions basically. Now, maybe Boruto's rushed in half prepared. Maybe he's emotionally compromised. We don't know. We don't know if there'll be people in the village that suffer. We don't know if this causes further trust in Kashin Koji to appear, assuming that this happened. This is speculation at this point. But it also could lead to something where Momoshiki's gained more leverage. This timeline, it might be veering further off its original track, and that leads us to that big reveal. Boruto might cause an unforeseen consequence if he did make a deal with Momoshiki. Every time Boruto tries to prevent deaths that should happen, Destiny is going to create a new death-shaped space somewhere else. He saved Konohamaru. Mamushi may claim someone else. Then again, it may be Mamushi this claim. We don't know. He cooperated with Momoshiki. But now, Momoshiki, who knows what he does when he does take over? Who knows what he does if he realizes Boruto's playing him? Boruto rejected Kashin Koji's predictions, and that just caused whatever Kashin Koji had on 10 directions to implode if Boruto is the cause of this. Boruto is on a path to learn painful truths, assuming that he did cause this timeline shift. Saving everyone is impossible when the timeline itself reacts to your choices. Boruto wants to save everyone. The thing is that in life you can't save everyone. Boruto defeating Mamushi is not the end. It might be the beginning of a new anomaly, one that neither Kashin Koji or whoever in the story might have accounted for. A true unforeseen event, a karmic repercussion, a butterfly that he cannot stop. I'm really hoping Boruto did cause this timeline shift because Boruto is stuck between Kashin Koji's cold logic, Momoshiki's manipulative nature, because now Momoshiki's back on the card. You also have Shikamaru as a leader. Boruto's desire to have everything. He wants to reverse omnipotence. He wants to have his parents unsealed. He wants Kawaki to not be blamed. He wants to save everyone, and he wants to also keep Konoha from fracturing. It's kind of like what Green Goblin tells Peter Parker in the first Spider-Man movie. You want to have everything, but you're stuck between two worlds. With Boruto's two worlds are reality and expectations. The tragedy in all of this is that Boruto is becoming the hero that he was always meant to be, and these are his trials and tribulations. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking on the left to check out the Best of Naruto Explained playlist, where I've assembled the videos I feel are the best videos on this channel, or click here to check out videos from other two anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.